FEMA just dropped updated disaster preparedness guidelines for 2025, and what they're recommending should alarm every household in America. Climate disasters are breaking records, supply chains are failing in ways experts never predicted, and here's the kicker. Emergency response times have more than doubled since 2020. When disaster hits, you're truly on your own for much longer than you realize. I've analyzed FEMA's latest protocols and spoke with emergency coordinators to identify the 12 absolute essentials they say every home needs right now. These aren't just survival basics. Families who had these items weren't just surviving recent disasters, they were helping their communities while others panicked. Number 7 on this list. 90% of Americans completely ignore it, yet it could be the difference between life and death when everything else fails. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments. Have you noticed emergency supply shortages or price spikes in your area? Your local insights help everyone stay prepared. Life-saving water reserve systems. FEMA's 2025 guidelines make one thing crystal clear. Your family's survival depends on having a proper water storage system, not just a few bottles stashed in the closet. Emergency coordinators across the country are witnessing the same devastating pattern. Families who trusted the old 3-day water recommendation found themselves in desperate situations by day 4. During the Texas freeze of 2021, entire neighborhoods went 2 weeks without clean running water. Those who had only prepared for 3 days became the ones frantically searching for help while their neighbors with proper water systems stayed safe and self-sufficient. The mathematics of survival are unforgiving. FEMA recommends 1 gallon per person per day, but real-world disasters demand much more. You need water for drinking, cooking, basic hygiene, and medical needs. A family of 4 requires a minimum of 56 gallons for 2 weeks, and experienced preppers recommend storing enough for a full month. The difference between adequate preparation and desperation often comes down to having 120 gallons of clean water when others are fighting over the last cases of bottled water at empty stores. Most people make a critical error that could endanger their family's health. They buy cases of plastic water bottles, store them in hot garages, and assume they're prepared. Those bottles break down in extreme temperatures, leaching chemicals that make the water taste terrible and potentially harmful. Professional-grade water storage uses food-grade containers like 55-gallon barrels or stackable water bricks. These systems cost roughly 50 cents per gallon and keep water fresh for years without degradation. The real game changer involves water purification capability. When your stored supply runs low, you'll need to treat water from questionable sources. Quality filtration systems like LifeStraw family units or Berkey filters transform contaminated water into safe drinking water. These aren't camping accessories anymore, they're essential household equipment for modern emergency preparedness. 2 strategic food stockpiling systems. FEMA's updated food guidelines reflect a harsh new reality that most Americans haven't accepted yet. The traditional 72-hour food supply recommendation crumbles under the pressure of real emergencies. Modern supply chains are more fragile than ever, with grocery stores maintaining only 3 days of inventory. When Hurricane Ian devastated Florida, prepared families watched their 3-day supplies disappear while stores remained closed for weeks. The psychological impact of empty pantries hits harder than physical hunger, creating panic when families realize normal life might not return for months. Effective emergency food storage requires understanding calorie density and nutritional completeness. Every person needs approximately 2,000 calories daily just to maintain basic health and energy levels. That requirement adds up quickly for families, making proper planning essential for survival. Freeze-dried meals represent the smartest investment, despite their higher upfront cost. A single meal costing $10 feeds 2 adults, lasts 25 years without spoilage, and requires only hot water for preparation. Compare this to grocery store food that expires within months, and the economics become clear. The supply chain vulnerability is exposed during recent crises should alarm every household. Grocery stores depend on just-in-time delivery systems that collapse when transportation networks fail. During widespread emergencies, you're competing with thousands of desperate families for those limited 3 days of store inventory. Families who lived through extended lockdowns describe the slow, terrifying realization that normal grocery shopping might not return for months. Having substantial food reserves provides psychological stability when everything else feels out of control. Smart food storage goes beyond simple survival. Choose nutrient-dense options that don't require cooking, since power outages often accompany major disasters. Rice, beans, Canned proteins and dried fruits provide balanced nutrition while lasting years in proper storage conditions. Rotation systems ensure nothing spoils while building confidence in your family's ability to weather extended emergencies. 3. Multi-channel communication networks. Hurricane Katrina taught FEMA a devastating lesson about emergency communication that continues shaping their recommendations today. Families trapped on rooftops couldn't signal for help effectively, not because rescuers weren't searching, but because communication systems had failed completely. Modern emergency communication requires multi-band radios capable of receiving NOAA weather alerts, AM/FM broadcasts, and shortwave emergency frequencies. These devices become lifelines when cellular towers fail and internet connections disappear. Reliable emergency radios need multiple power sources to function when traditional electricity vanishes. Hand crank generators provide power when batteries die, solar panels enable extended operation during long outages, and USB ports keep smartphones charged for emergency calls. Built-in flashlights eliminate the need to operate devices in complete darkness. Models like the Midland ER310 or Eaton Sidekick offer these features in ruggedized packages designed for extreme conditions. Preparation extends beyond equipment to knowledge and planning. Download emergency frequency lists for your area and program them before disasters strike. Learn which stations broadcast critical information during emergencies and practice operating your radio regularly. During Hurricane Maria, families in Puerto Rico used emergency radios for 3 months to locate FEMA aid stations, identify passable roads, and find medical assistance. That radio became their connection to survival resources when everything else failed. Communication systems also facilitate family coordination during chaotic situations. Establish meeting points and check-in procedures that don't depend on cell phones or internet access. Two-way radios with extended range capabilities keep family members connected when separated by emergency conditions. These systems transform isolated individuals into coordinated family units capable of making smart decisions together. 4. Comprehensive medical response kits. FEMA's expanded medical supply recommendations reflect sobering lessons learned from recent disasters. Hospital emergency rooms become overwhelmed within hours of major incidents, creating wait times exceeding 12 hours for non-critical injuries. When roads flood or debris blocks access routes, families cannot reach professional medical help at all. Minor injuries escalate into life-threatening conditions without proper immediate treatment, making comprehensive medical supplies essential for household emergency preparedness. Basic wound care supplies represent just the foundation of proper medical preparation. Bandages, antiseptic solutions, and pain relievers handle obvious injuries, but deeper preparation involves prescription medication management. Anyone taking daily medications needs minimum 30-day emergency supplies stored safely and rotated regularly. Most physicians willingly prescribe extended supplies when patients explain emergency preparedness needs. Chronic conditions like diabetes and heart disease become deadly when medication access disappears during extended disasters. Recent disaster medical reports reveal that disrupted chronic care kills more people than dramatic injury. Diabetics cannot survive without insulin access, heart patients deteriorate rapidly without prescribed medications, and blood pressure emergencies multiply when monitoring stops. Basic diagnostic equipment enables families to assess serious versus minor medical situations when professional help isn't available. Glucose monitors, blood pressure cuffs, and digital thermometers provide critical health information during extended isolation periods. Advanced medical supplies should include items like Israeli bandages for severe bleeding control, burn gel for thermal injuries, and electrolyte replacement solutions for dehydration treatment. Medical reference guides help non-professionals make informed treatment decisions during emergency. These supplies bridge the gap between injury occurrence and professional medical access, potentially saving lives when minutes matter most. 5-layered illumination and power systems. Imagine it as day 3 of a widespread power outage. Your phone battery is long dead. Darkness fills every corner of your home, and your children are unsettled by the oppressive blackness. You are trying to prepare a meal using only a small flashlight held precariously in your mouth. This scenario is a stark reality for many during emergencies. FEMA's updated guidelines have moved beyond simply recommending flashlights. They now advocate for a layered lighting system. This strategic approach to illumination is a fundamental shift in emergency preparedness, designed to provide a versatile and resilient solution for any lighting challenge that arises when the grid goes down. The first layer of this system is personal, hands-free lighting. A headlamp for every member of your household is non-negotiable. This simple tool is a game changer, allowing you to perform critical tasks like cooking, administering first aid, or making repairs without sacrificing the use of one of your hands. The second layer involves area lighting. This is where lanterns, particularly solar-powered or rechargeable LED models, become essential. They can illuminate an entire room, creating a sense of normalcy and safety that is crucial for morale, especially for families with young children. Lightweight, inflatable solar lanterns are an excellent option as they are easy to store and can provide hours of light after a day of charging. The third and most overlooked layer is emergency signaling. High-intensity flashing LED beacons can be seen from miles away, serving as a powerful signal for rescue teams. In the chaotic aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, these beacons were instrumental in guiding rescuers to stranded individuals. Critically, each layer of your lighting system must be supported by a diverse power management plan. Relying solely on disposable batteries is a recipe for failure. A robust system includes rechargeable batteries for regular use, a healthy stock of disposable batteries for backup, and most importantly, a solar charging capability to ensure you have a limitless power source for long-term disasters. Having a way to recharge your lights and other small devices means you can use them as needed, rather than hoarding battery power in fear. 6. Shelter fortification and repair kits. Recent disasters have shown that your home, your primary shelter, can become compromised when you need it most. FEMA's analysis of recent weather events and emergencies has led to a stronger emphasis on having materials to reinforce and repair your shelter on hand. When a disaster strikes, emergency services are inundated, and professional help for a damaged roof or broken window could be weeks away. In the interim, you are responsible for protecting your family from the elements. This is why FEMA now recommends having shelter enhancement materials as a core component of your preparedness kit. This goes far beyond the flimsy blue tarps many people have stored away. You need heavy-duty, reinforced vinyl tarps that can withstand high winds and heavy rain. These, combined with a supply of duct tape, rope, bungee cords, and basic hand tools, can be used to temporarily patch a damaged roof or cover a broken window, preventing further water damage and exposure. However, the most strategic part of this recommendation involves having plastic sheeting and tape to create a designated safe room within your home. This concept is vital for a range of threats beyond storms. In the event of a nearby chemical spill, hazardous air quality from wildfires, or even a future pandemic, the ability to seal off a single room can create a protected environment for your family. A neighbor during the California wildfires successfully used this method to establish a clean air space for his children who suffered from asthma, a simple action that likely prevented serious respiratory issues while evacuation was not an option. The key to making this strategy effective is practice. Learning how to properly secure a tarp or seal a room on a calm, stress-free day builds the muscle memory needed to perform these tasks efficiently and correctly when you are under duress and facing dangerous conditions. 7. Dual-purpose fire and heat management. It may seem contradictory, but FEMA's updated preparedness guidelines stress the importance of having equipment for both fire suppression and fire starting. This dual focus is not an oversight. It is a critical understanding of the opposing threats a family can face during a disaster. On one hand, the risk of a house fire can increase dramatically during a power outage due to the use of candles, generators, and alternative heating sources. On the other hand, the ability to create fire for heat and cooking becomes a primary survival need when electricity and gas lines fail. For fire suppression, every home should have multiple, fully charged fire extinguishers. It is also important to understand the different classes of fires. A Class A extinguisher works on common combustibles like wood and paper. A Class B is for flammable liquids like grease or gasoline. And a Class C is for electrical fires. Having a multi-purpose ABC extinguisher is a good baseline, but having the right tool for the job is better. Smoke detectors with fresh battery backups are essential, as are escape ladders for any multi-story dwellings to ensure your family can get out safely. Conversely, fire-starting equipment is your key to warmth and hot meals. When the grid is down, you need reliable, alternative methods to cook food and boil water for purification. This means having a well-stocked supply of waterproof matches, magnesium fire starters, and disposable lighters. Furthermore, a portable camping stove, whether it uses propane, butane, or another fuel source is an invaluable tool. During the Texas freeze, a family was able to heat baby formula for their newborn using a simple butane stove after their electric stove and gas lines were rendered useless. Having multiple ignition sources is crucial. One may fail, get wet, or be lost, so redundancy is your best insurance policy against the unexpected. 8. Advanced hygiene and sanitation solution. One of the most dangerous and least discussed consequences of a major disaster is the breakdown of sanitation systems. When the water stops running and toilets no longer flush, the risk of disease skyrockets. FEMA learned hard lessons from the aftermath of Hurricanes Katrina and Sandy, where the failure of sanitation infrastructure led to widespread illness and created a secondary public health crisis. Your preparedness plan must include a comprehensive strategy for personal hygiene and waste management to protect your family's health when municipal services are offline. The core of this strategy involves supplies for waterless hygiene. This includes moist towelettes, hand sanitizer, and any specific items your family needs, such as feminine hygiene products or diapers. However, the most critical component is a plan for human waste disposal. This means having heavy-duty garbage bags, secure plastic ties, and a portable toilet solution, which can be as simple as a 5-gallon bucket with a dedicated toilet seat lid. The reality is that diseases like cholera and dysentery, often associated with developing nations, can emerge anywhere that sanitation collapses. Properly managing waste is a non-negotiable part of preventing a medical emergency. Beyond the immediate threat of disease, there is a profound psychological benefit to maintaining personal hygiene. The ability to clean yourself, brush your teeth, and feel a sense of personal order can have a massive impact on morale and mental resilience during a prolonged crisis. Survivor accounts from extended emergencies often highlight how simple acts of hygiene help them feel human and maintain a sense of dignity when their world was turned upside down. Having these supplies on hand is not just about preventing infection, it is about preserving the mental and emotional well-being of your family when they need it most. 9. Physical currency emergency reserves. FEMA's most overlooked recommendation could determine whether your family thrives or struggles during the critical first weeks of a disaster. We're talking about maintaining an emergency cash reserve, something that 95% of American households completely ignore until it's too late. When power grids collapse, our entire digital economy vanishes instantly. Credit cards become useless plastic, ATMs turn into expensive paperweights, and digital payment systems disappear completely. You're suddenly thrust into a cash-only economy where physical money becomes the ultimate survival tool. During Hurricane Sandy's aftermath, a prepared resident watched his neighbors struggle despite having thousands in their bank accounts. Banks remained shuttered for weeks, power outages rendered all electronic payment systems useless, and ATMs sat dark and empty. Meanwhile, he used his cash reserves to secure gasoline, purchase fresh batteries from traveling vendors, and even hire help to clear storm debris from his property. His foresight transformed him from victim to victor in a matter of hours. The psychological advantage of having cash during emergencies extends far beyond simple transactions. It provides leverage and options when traditional systems fail completely. FEMA recommends maintaining at least $500 in physical currency, but the denomination strategy matters more than the total amount. You need predominantly small bills: 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20. When a vendor is selling essential batteries for $10, handing them a $100 bill creates problems nobody wants during an emergency. They likely cannot make change, and you've just advertised that you're carrying large amounts of cash. Smart emergency cash management involves storing money in waterproof containers and distributing it across multiple secure locations throughout your home. Never discuss your cash reserves with neighbors or friends. During desperate times, even trustworthy people can make questionable decisions when they know you possess resources they desperately need. Physical currency becomes your family's lifeline when the modern world temporarily returns to bartering basics. 10. Secure document protection systems. Your personal identity and legal standing can vanish overnight if you cannot prove who you are or what you own after a disaster strikes. FEMA's document protection recommendations reflect hard lessons learned from families who lost everything, including their ability to prove their existence to insurance companies, government agencies, and financial institutions. Having waterproof storage for critical documents transforms potential bureaucratic nightmares into manageable recovery processes. Essential documents include insurance policies, government-issued identification, birth certificates, social security cards, bank account information, medical records, prescription lists, and emergency contact information. These papers become your gateway to recovery assistance, insurance claims, and accessing frozen accounts when disasters disrupt normal verification systems. A homeowner who lost everything in a house fire discovered that her neighbors waited months just to prove their identities to insurance adjusters, while she began receiving claim payments within weeks because she could immediately provide all necessary documentation. Modern document protection requires both digital and physical backup strategies. Store digital copies on encrypted waterproof USB drives that can survive harsh conditions. Simultaneously, maintain physical copies in fireproof document safes rated for extended high-temperature exposure. The redundancy protects against different types of disasters, while ensuring you always have access to critical information. Include emergency contact information for family members living outside your immediate area, as local communication networks often fail while long-distance connections remain operational. Professional quality document scanners create clear, legible copies that government agencies and insurance companies will accept without question. Update these document caches annually, ensuring that policy changes, address updates, and new medical information stay current. When disaster strikes, having immediate access to complete, up-to-date documentation accelerates every aspect of your recovery process. 11. Climate control emergency solutions. Temperature extremes kill more people during disasters than most other threats combined, yet few households prepare adequate heating and cooling backup systems. FEMA's climate control guidelines acknowledge that maintaining survivable temperatures often determines whether families endure or perish during extended power outages. Modern homes depend entirely on electrical systems for climate control, leaving residents completely vulnerable when the grid fails during extreme weather events. Emergency heating solutions require careful safety considerations alongside effectiveness. Indoor-safe propane heaters with proper ventilation provide reliable warmth without creating carbon monoxide dangers. Military surplus sleeping bags rated for sub-zero temperatures can keep families warm even in unheated homes. Thermal blankets reflect body heat while occupying minimal storage space. However, the most critical component involves carbon monoxide detectors with fresh battery backups, as improper heating methods kill entire families every winter during power outages. Ventilation planning prevents deadly gas accumulation while maintaining necessary warmth for survival. Cooling strategies become equally critical during summer emergencies when air conditioning systems fail. Battery-powered fans provide air circulation, while cooling towels offer temporary relief through evaporation. Electrolyte replacement supplies prevent heat stroke as your body struggles to regulate temperature without mechanical assistance. Heat-related deaths spike dramatically among elderly residents and individuals with pre-existing health conditions during extended cooling system failures. Redundancy remains your best defense against temperature-related emergencies. Multiple heating sources, diverse cooling methods, and prioritizing safety over comfort ensure your family survives climate challenges when municipal utilities disappear. Strategic placement of emergency climate control equipment throughout your home provides options regardless of which rooms become inhabitable during different emergency scenarios. 12. Comprehensive tool and hardware arsenal. When disaster damages your home, you instantly become your own emergency repair crew, maintenance team, and construction specialist. FEMA's tool recommendations recognize that having the right equipment for emergency modifications and repairs often determines whether families can remain safely sheltered or must abandon damaged homes. Quality tools transform helpless victims into capable problem solvers who can adapt their living situations to survive changing conditions. A professional-grade multi-tool serves as your primary emergency implement, combining pliers, screwdrivers, wire cutters, and sharp blades in one portable package. However, basic hardware supplies enable the construction and repair projects that keep your shelter functional. Screws, nails, heavy-duty wire, zip ties, duct tape, and a compact hammer provide the raw materials for emergency modifications. These supplies repair broken windows, secure damaged doors, reinforce weakened structures, and create makeshift solutions for problems you cannot anticipate. Real emergency tool applications extend far beyond simple repairs. You might need to board up windows against future storms, secure tarps over damaged roofing, construct temporary partitions for privacy, or modify furniture for new uses. Having organized, easily accessible tools prevents wasted time and frustration when you're stressed and dealing with property damage. Store everything in clearly labeled containers that can be quickly located during chaotic situations. Practice using your tools before emergencies occur, as unfamiliar equipment becomes exponentially more difficult to operate under pressure. Quality tools represent long-term investments that serve your household during routine maintenance while providing critical capabilities when disasters strike. The difference between successfully adapting to emergency damage and remaining helpless often comes down to having the right tools and hardware immediately available when seconds count. Preparing for a disaster by assembling these 12 critical items is one of the most important investments you can make in your family's safety and well-being. As we've seen, emergencies are becoming more frequent and severe, while official response times are getting longer, placing the responsibility for immediate survival squarely on your shoulder. Taking proactive steps today to secure your water, food, communication, and medical supplies ensures you can face any crisis with confidence and resilience. Don't wait for a warning that comes too late. Begin assembling your kit this week, because true security isn't hoping a disaster won't happen, it's knowing you are ready when it does.